You have the right to peaceful protest in America on the land. Some people have a problem with protesters. Here's the thing, the CIA doesn't have a problem with my protests. They may or may not have a problem with you pretending to represent them at this time. Various interests are represented, and if you not only complain and make a nuisance of yourself, but have a solution, preferably a more lucrative one, but at least a viable solution, now there's an alternative. Now you give Congress something to think about. So the problem is not our freedom of speech. The problem is allowing, I hate to suggest, you're not paying these people. Allowing homos and fucking retards to follow little boys around for decades. A lot of allegations are made, and if it happened when I was there, I remember. In the meantime, whoever told the Central Intelligence Agency, which is 100% trained killers, if I'm not mistaken, whoever misdirected them against their own best interest on behalf of the guys pretending we were negotiating while they raped 84,000 Boy Scouts, whatever the reason is that they are not fully aware of who I am or why we would have been negotiating. The FBI investigated this server bank up here. Did we get a receipt? I have the article. Okay. What were they looking for? Did they find it? I don't need to know. You need to know, because I try to live my life in such a way I can just say whenever I catch up with the CIA, whoever is responsible is going to be up to their eyeballs in boiling shit. Boiling fucking shit, my friend. Is it Russia? Is it China? Well, I did some tracing of my own. All the evidence points directly at Nigeria. That seems a little too convenient, but at the same time, not like they're breaking their asses backwards to try to get out of it either. Kremlin, Moscow, I'm here. This is me. I'm trying to contact Langley, but the people interfering with your investigation, blaming you for the interference, trying to obstruct crimes against this state behind petty local baloney. Maybe it's just God. Maybe God's angry. The Satanists, whoever it is, they're trying to get us all killed all at once. One would think a responsible third party would intercede. Anonymous is not the Russians. It's not just the Nigerians. It's not just Babu. It's not the Saudi Taliban. In the 17th century, the gay mafia was effectively persecuted until they changed their name to Anonymous. They're part of the reason our forefathers settled this continent, fleeing from their religious persecution. They hate God. Why did God make me so repugnant? Well, you were probably molested. You can't be born that way. God didn't do this to you. All I ever wanted is what's right and fair and best for everybody. Maybe not today, maybe not tomorrow, but we will put the conditions in place so that society can adapt to this more fruitful and prosperous. Look at Saudi Arabia in the headlines. What accountants, analysts, economic analysts are saying about Saudi Arabia. If you have a problem with an American, you tell Washington. And then Washington says, well, how come we can't talk to him? Protected by what? Oh, these faggots think they own him. And you don't have to let them do that, Washington. How am I supposed to know? People playing God with me, and it's like, oh, he knows what he did. Yeah, I do. Whatever I did, if I was awake when it happened, I worship an omnipotent and eternal creator who is never wrong and doesn't give a flying fuck about your circumstantial evidence, sir, ma'am, other. Somebody made a bad bet, and when you're gambling on toddlers, who do you turn to? There's no prevailing authority. Oh, I got robbed on I bet on a 3-year-old for the long shot and I won. First, do no harm or you're not a doctor. And then there's the Olympics, where people, champions, train their whole lives to represent us. You don't just make some shady backroom deal and act like it's policy. There's a reason they used to wrestle naked, so everybody could see that they were grown-ups. The Romans persecuted Christians, pushing slaves into the arena to be eaten by lions. Didn't matter if they won or lost. everybody could see it. So you don't just act like there's this terrible injustice. You have no choice but to overthrow democracy. You tell Washington what the problem is. Don't act like it's something else. It's definitely not legal here. So who's running interference? As far as the Protestants are concerned, what makes Protestantism diplomatically viable for the past 580 years is the presence of a foreign god, king, or army on the land. It's not just everybody. You don't just. What are we protesting now? That protection, the guy making it look like the Protestants could just persecute because they weren't allowed to prosecute, fled the country in 2016. So the Protestants are golden, which means now their failure to prosecute just means they're chicken shit. As I suspected. Act like you can't prosecute somebody stalking people, killing people's dogs, robbing, raping, and framing your own flock. Has to be that guy's fault. Well, that's the faggots. Because I got raped in surgery when I was 6 years old. Who has a dog in that fight? Who cares if somebody went to prison his entire adult life for nothing and God hates me? Why should I ever lift a finger to help anybody? And you're going to force us to hire these people? You're going to use force against us if we don't hire these people? If we weren't letting diplomatic immunity rape people and get away with it, these people would be happily married with children of their own. So where exactly does diplomatic immunity come from? And I can go into that at length. Suffice to say, first do no harm, or you're not a goddamn doctor.